Respect the River project came about, we spend so much time in the mountains and we know what pristine ecosystems look like. Some of the rivers in town, we can see that they need attention because you don't see as much local vegetation, you see a lot of invasive vegetation. Inorganic pollution has been our intention, is to give love and attention to the rivers that we all reside close to, and that could be beautiful places to spend time in. Many other countries, communities take responsibility to care for these wild spaces. Like in South Africa, people just expect government or municipality to do that, which they quite often don't have capacity for.
When you live in a residential area, you're not necessarily aware of the impact that you have on the nearest river system. We live on the river, and just as a citizen or just as a resident, we saw that we can do litter cleanups. And we live right around the corner from the community, and there are kids, they play in the river every single day, and why not show them that they can also help clean the river.
I mean, who knew that you could window bash under trees that you've planted?
This mighty milkwood, this is ancient, and this is one of the indigenous trees that we uncovered in the first blue gum clearing here. It was completely hidden in and amongst invasive plants, and yeah, this just gives such a great indication of the kind of indigenous forest we used to have along this river. I mean, this milkwood is definitely close to 100 years old, if not older. And yeah, this would have been one of the trees that was left in the early days of George development, because this isn't a good wood tree. So they would have cut out the surrounding yellow woods and all sorts of trees that are good for wood and timber. But this luckily wasn't a desired tree. What this wild grape does for the indigenous tree canopy is it actually ties it down like a tent tie down. And what this does is when it climbs through multiple canopies, it helps tie those trees down in the wind. We chose the Malgas River because we live so close to it, and because as with any kind of issue, you can have the biggest impact on something that is close to you. Any kind of positive changes, if you start at home, those can kind of ripple outwards into the world. But this is all biomass and litter intertwined in this stuff that washed downstream. So we've just been seeing this as an opportunity to clean all of this stuff out the river, because it's kind of stopped this from going down to the ocean. We've looked at an holistic river restoration process that could be applied to all rivers around South Africa, to identify the key issues, to look at ways of addressing those issues, and yeah, that could definitely be a pilot project that could inspire other work in other rivers around the country.
It's mainly exotic species that come up afterwards, after you've done clearing. So that's why it's necessary for us to be planting endemic species back into this system. So most of the trees you see here we've planted, and over here you can see the bushbuck has been here and nibbled. And that happens very regularly, especially just after we've planted. They love the young, new, fresh growth of smaller trees. You could see the footsteps of the bokkie that's been to every single tree. And then by one of the trees, there was a little bit of scat as well, you know.
Also doing education, and that plays like a really big role. Education around the birds and the animals that are present in the ecosystem. I've seen some people more inclined to care for animals, or some people are more inclined to care for trees.
You get plant people and animal people.
Yeah, and some people care for both. This is a wildlife corridor, even if it is in an urban setting. It's really important for us to care for these wildlife corridors and for our river systems. If you don't know plants and it's green but it's livered with exotics, then it's actually not a healthy ecosystem. But if you don't know plants, you'll think, oh, it's beautiful and green.
We've also been doing prints with one of our artistic friends, Ilse. She's been sketching up the residents, the wild residents of the river, in order for us to get the word out there in terms of what is worth preserving in the river. You know, for sure it's the water, which is the number one, the most important factor, but there's all sorts of wild animals that use these corridors as their home. And we've been trying to depict those creatures to get a broader understanding of what we're preserving in these corridors.